I used to think I had to be perfect. I was a star student. I graduated valedictorian, attended college on a full scholarship, and got into an Ivy League master's program. I married my high school sweetheart and started a PhD with the most famous professor in my field. Despite my external successes, though, I never felt happy. I constantly overworked. I was lonely. And at my worst, I wanted to die. I vividly remember the first time it happened. I came home from high school one afternoon and my mom handed me a letter from the Advanced Studies summer program I had applied for. I knew I would be accepted. After all, I was ranked number 1 in a class of 310. I tore open the letter and learned that I got into the program, but I'd been assigned not to marine biology or ecology, which were my top 2 choices, but to engineering, my 3rd choice. I broke into tears, ran down to the basement, locked the door, and tried to hang myself. If I wasn't good enough to get into my first choice, my brain told me, then I didn't deserve to be alive. My perfectionism nearly killed me many times, and it always held me back. Fast forward 20 years, and I had destroyed my marriage, dropped out of my PhD program, and landed myself in a mental health treatment program. I was unemployed, unable to get out of bed, and navigating the social services network of disability, Medicaid, and food stamps to keep me alive. As a perfectionist and overachiever, to go from the top of my class to dependent on government aid created a profound identity crisis for me. And it was also the beginning of my healing journey. 2 years into my recovery, I sat in a conference room in a fancy hotel in downtown Boston. I was one of 20 life coaching students sitting in a semicircle of chairs facing our instructor as she prompted us through an exercise to dig deep and uncover our biggest fear. As I peeled back the layers I was hiding behind, I discovered that my deepest fear is not being good enough. Suddenly, it became clear to me why I had been striving my whole life for the next accomplishment, the next achievement, and for being the best at everything I did. It was because even the slightest failure or mistake triggered this basic fear that if I'm not the best, then at my core, I'm no good at all. You see, the problem with perfectionism is that it makes our self-worth contingent on our flawless achievement. My perfectionist parts thought that if I never made a mistake, I would never have to face the pain of criticism or judgment from others. And because I got so used to not making mistakes and not being second best, I never developed the resilience to learn and grow. It was more important to me to maintain the outward illusion of perfection to others than it was to persevere and risk failure in the pursuit of my dreams. Perfectionism is commonly misunderstood as being detail-oriented and striving for excellence. But there's an important distinction between perfectionism and excellence. Striving to do good work is healthy, but basing one's value and self-worth on an ideal of perfection and punishing oneself for falling short is pathological. I've made it my mission as a certified coach to have an impact by reaching as many people as possible with my message of unperfectionism. Unperfectionism is about more than the cliche of just accepting our imperfections. We need to outright reject perfection as the ideal and undo our perfectionist conditioning by celebrating our failures, giving ourselves permission to do B-level work, and loving ourselves for who we are, not what we do. It is a lifelong journey, but the reward is to become the person you are meant to be in all your unperfect uniqueness.